When I was just a baby, my mama told me, son, always.
So here we're back. It's time for the middle 10 of the preseason power rankings show. Welcome back. I'm your host, Mark McRae. I'm joined live via Skype with Eric Schneider. We have our correspondents, Matt McInnes and Henry Ski, live via satellite. Eric, no real surprises in the bottom 9 for me. Kind of some perennial losers. Perennial bottom feeders, basement dwellers. Anyway, we're into the middle 10. We're the effort award, the also part of the league. They're here for fun, and really, at the end of the day, this whole thing is just for fun. So, but now we're getting into teams that are probably playoff aspirational. Starting with number 20, who is
none other than the Frederick Express.
Oh, tell me more.
Well, Mark, it's a little harder for me to trash your team with you here in person than I'm normally used to with these preseason rankings. But I'll do my best to stay honest. This is my journalistic integrity at stake, of course. So let's start with the good. Pasternak.
Krug keeps the puck in. Pasternak in front. He scores! Screaming for the puck from Torrey Krug. This time Pasternak heard Kevin Miller coming off the bench. To the blue line, Pasternak slides one at the net. Score!
And on this date in 1948, the Leafs won the Stanley Cup. Can you believe the Stanley Cup championship was won in April? At one time, it sure enough was. Brought back on for a pass that comes to Pasternak. Score! As getting back was Gardner, now out in front. Score! Pasternak!
Pasta. Unbelievable. Franchise player. Probably going to be even better next season. So, pick your shots. DeBrincat, pretty impressive. Big fan of what Dubois turned into. I know you're a huge fan of Krejci. He shines a little off the apple there, but still valuable.
Very underrated.
And you have been very, let's call it what it is, braggadocious about your young defensive core. Werenski, Forbert, Spurgeon, Murphy, Hamilton, Jokiharju. I mean, it just kind of keeps going. So admittedly, very, very solid there. I'm not going to contradict you. I'm not going to say the best in the league, but certainly among the best.
I think you forgot to mention Philip Hronek, who is leading another feeder leagues team in ice time so far this year, and I think it's their top defenseman. Anyway, continue.
Not to split hairs or anything, right? We're not nitpicking at all. Oh, you forgot to name my 8th most important defenseman. Jeez.
I mean,
thanks for that. Who's the commentator again? You got Vasilevsky in net, which is again very impressive. Vezina Trophy winner in that other shadowy, odd league. Did not translate into being the best goalie in this league, though, for what that's worth. So very, very solid. Where you fall apart a little bit is in scoring. Quite frankly, you've got a lot of scoring on your first line and not a heck of a lot after that. It's pretty below average club beyond there. And then on the defensive side of things, same kind of deal. You got some great puck movers, but you're kind of lacking that beefy veteran defense. There's basically zero experience on that blue line aside from Spurgeon. So I saddled you with the venerable Gobstopper for your candy of choice.
Gobstopper.
Willy
Wonka's Gobstoppers.
Multi-layered. You generally only get one or two of those come Halloween time. So you look forward to it, and then you take a big bite on it and break a tooth or two. And it's was it worth it? Probably not, but still an exciting experience.
I like the fact that the Gobstoppers are everlasting. Basically, this team almost by definition is everlasting as far as the league lasts.
Wow.
That's what I did there. As far as we know. I mean, who knows? The league could outlast me. Okay, well, we've probably spent enough time on my team. Matt, do you agree?
Yeah, guys. Totally agree.
Sounds like he agrees. Where are we with number 19?
Brings us to the Stockholm Cougars, run by Mr. Baker. Tom, you have put together yet another respectable club. The highlight, of course, the crown jewel, Alex Barkov. You did a little bit of a dismantling, a retooling, and dropped some of the other high flight guys in favor of youth, which I respect, retooling on the fly around him. But you've still got Halak with some solid ratings. You've got a pretty beefy defense with Esa Lindell and that inexplicably good rating. Anybody who's ever watched him play knows that that is not how good he is as a player. Tom, I give you Smarties out of respect. Smarties are a respectable, tasty alternative to all the other, let's be honest, much tastier Halloween candies. It's the thing that your peanut allergic friend in class gets, and they probably get more than they want. But where am I going with this, Tom? You're a tasty, acceptable treat. Congratulations.
And I do eat the red ones last. All right, thank you. It's Cougars 19. Who's at 18?
Brings us to our other Chris, OG Chris, I should say, with the Toronto Metropolitans. Mm-hmm. Boy, this is a weird team. This is very similar to Chicago in that they got some goaltending, exactly. So this is a team that is this high in the ratings purely because of Carey Price and what he brings to the club. Jake Allen, very respectable backup, so that doesn't hurt. But beyond that, I mean, you know, they are wildly overpaying Eddie Vlasic, Pickles, at just shy of $10 million a year on a 3-year deal. Woof. Some other pretty mega contracts along the way that I think will put these guys into the poorhouse in very short order. But he's making a go of it. He's committed. He has a vision. You ever approach him for a trade for certain key guys of his, and even if you don't understand why they're unavailable, he is bulletproof clear that they are. So he's got his guys, he's got his crew, he's sticking to it, and I respect that. I am giving him the Tootsie Roll.
Oh,
that is the definition. Well, that's the thing. That is a definition of a love it or hate it candy for a love it or hate it team.
Smart. I can see why they have you on this show every year, Eric.
Yeah, more than just a pretty face, Mark.
I thought it was just because you had a Schooners jersey, but
that's the source of my power.
There's other reasons. Okay, so now we're up to 17. Indeed.
17 brings us to the Brandon Wheat Kings, our elder statesman, Dougie, we love you. Great meeting you at the summit. I think we said that last year, and we'll continue to say that every single year until we see you again, 2022, Toronto.
Yeah.
The Wheat Kings are the best possible example that I can ever think of a team being more than the sum of its parts. Every single season, we nuke them in the preseason rankings, and every single season they either limp into the playoffs or somehow manage to win the entire freaking conference and get all the way to the finals. I don't understand, but it keeps happening. So clearly he knows this system, this ridiculous sim way better than I ever could pretend, and maybe you should bring him in next year instead of me. I have opted to give Doug, what else could I possibly give him? Werther's Original. Doug,
yeah.
OG. There you go.
Good. Just
right?
Good. And I mean, I'm sure I wasn't the only one who saw that first round playoff series last year and was secretly cheering on Doug when he was a hair's breadth from our good friend Matt. Sorry, Matt, are you still here?
Did you know that I'm 10-0 in the SICHL's official fantasy football league? Wow!
Oh, looks like Matt's having some technical difficulties. I'm sure he'll be back later. Anyway, have a good season, Doug.
Yep.
And great. We are at 16. All the way up to 16. We're almost halfway through.
Indeed. 16 brings us to our esteemed deputy commish, Mike Francesco, Mike Frankenstein, Mike
Frankencheesy.
Frankencheesy. That I knew I could rely on you for the pronunciation. Thank you, Mark.
I've known him for a long time. I'm an expert on pronouncing his name now.
Nice. Love it. Edmonton Supersonics. This is a team that I feel like I or my ratings, however you want to phrase it, perpetually underrates. They're always good. They're always scary. They're always in the playoffs. They beat me, let's be honest, probably more than half the time we play, which drives me freaking crazy. They've got Blake Wheeler, Bo Horvat, Phil Kessel, Tom Wilson, Paul Stastny. Like, it's a pretty scary top crew there. Kind of falls apart a little on defense, which is why they are as low as they are. In fact, their defense is the 23rd rated in the entire league. So gives you an idea of where their strengths really lie. It's all up front. Goaltending is
of his defense, though. I remember at the last summit, I seem to recall Mike fumbling on the podium and sort of not being very happy with the guy that he picked.
Correct.
Somebody named Makar.
Yeah.
Looks like it might have been a good pick, actually, Mike.
Nice.
So I don't know if he was just sandbagging that day on the podium, but his defense, I think, is on the rise in the future. But all right, anyway, continue. This year, focused on, and Mike's goaltending.
Mike's goaltending going to be tough to start the season with Mrazek injured. Not for too long, but nevertheless, he's going to have a couple of tough games. And not a heck of a lot to talk about after that. Craigie Anderson, his OV looks decent for a backup, but those actual, if you look at the ratings, his style control, 47 among the lowest of any goaltender in the league, not just amongst like backups. So he's going to get shelled.
Right.
But like you said, he's got some promising kids coming up with what's his name, Swiss Chard Makar coming in. So they should turn into a little something at some point. And this was one of the easiest of all the candies for me to assign. Nerds.
I have nothing else to say. That is perfect. Okay. Thank you, Mike, for all that you do. We are at number 15 in the power rankings. Who's at 15, Eric?
Brings us to Bryce and the Vancouver Vipers, another team out west in the traditional territories of the Vancouver Island Norsemen, which I know Matt has absolutely no problem with. He's very happy to share that territory. Is that right? Is that right, Matt?
Totally agree. That's a thing. Yeah.
I expected him to disagree with you there. Anyway, okay, back to Bryce and the Vipers, number 15.
This is a team led by defense. They've got a real stack, especially the youngins. They got Provorov, Brady, Skjei? How do you pronounce that kid's name? I don't know. Skjei. You can with it. Goligoski, Yandel, some rando named Goodbranson. I don't know anything about him. And then goaltenders Khudobin with some shockingly good ratings. So, and I haven't even talked about their forwards: Taylor Hall, Logan Couture, Jake Gunsel, my boy Gustav Nyquist. So there's a lot of talent. They can do a lot of damage. Where things do fall apart, if Khudobin can't quite handle all the extra minutes, and that is a legit concern. His endurance and durability both quite low for a prospective starter. Corey Schneider's ratings do not look like they'll be able to handle any extra fires. Respect Bryce, but I hope he stays healthy. And I have opted for the Hershey's Kisses for my medicine hat homie Bryce. Bryce,
Okay.
Just kiss to you, my friend. Go Tigers.
Oh, I love to see that. Oh, your camera angle's off, Eric. Thank you.
I so dramatically chef kissed the air there that it just fell over.
Your cameraman just was swooning.
Sniper in the rafters.
All right. And continues to swoon slightly.
We're listing.
We're listing. The schooner ship is listing. I didn't realize you were coming to us live from the schooner.
At sea.
Amazing. I wish that's where I was at, but sadly there's snow on the ground here in Ontario.
Just drywalled cabin.
That's fantastic. That's unusual for a sailing vessel.
I knew you would pick up on that.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's unique. Okay, where are we? Vipers, we're at 15, so we must be at 14.
Indeed. The Montreal Millionaires, my bro, Chasm. Best man at the wedding, known him since I was a wee lad. He's a good guy. Unfortunately, he he has some pretty terrible taste when it comes to drafting. He only takes wingers. What's that about? Take a centerman. You have so many anyway, barking up the wrong tree here. Chasm's never going to pick a centerman. He's gonna live to the ripe old age of 95, playing only wingers. Mitch Marner is going to be his franchise centerman, and it's going to be hysterical. He tried to address it in free agency. He picked up Eric Stahl. He also acquired Carl Soderberg. So, it's an attempt, a valiant one at that. Stahl is respectable. But yeah, this is a team run down the flanks. There's really very little going on down the middle. And that extends to the back of the ice where Jimmy Howard and Philly Grubauer, nothing against Grubauer, love him, plays for the Avs in that other crazy league that I like so much. But last year's Grubauer's ratings are not particularly great, and nor are Jimmy Howard's. So he's going to have some trouble in his own net this time around. Defense, holy chasm, 25th out of 29 in this league. Got a lot of work to do there. Duncan Keith is not the Duncan Keith that I think Chasm paid $8 million a year for. So we'll see how that works out for the long run. And Chasm, this is in remembrance of many a night at the cinema in university. Junior Mints.
Junior Mints. I love Junior Mints.
The preferred choice of movie-going audiences everywhere. So there we are.
That's a solid candy, Chasm.
Right.
Nothing else. Okay, but I personally expect to finish ahead of Montreal this year, so that's going to be one of my goals, obviously. Anyway, that's a diversion. Number 13.
13 brings us to Dustin and the Las Vegas Aces. Oh, Dusty. Aces. Ooh. Always exciting.
Always exciting.
If there's one thing that you can rely on Dustin for, it's flipping the script on us at some point this season. Something unexpected will happen. He's starting the year with some major question marks in net. Big fan of Darcy Kemper, a waiver wire pickup the previous season. Let's not forget about that. Best waiver draft acquisition in a long time. Backed up by Keith Kincaid.
Hey, Keith Kincaid's got a mad Twitter game. He's worth a follow.
Keith Kincaid tweets like Dawn texts. It is a thing to behold. I've never seen so many when Kincaid, funny story, played for the Schooners, he's the only player I would not follow because I couldn't have him cluttering up my feed. I just refused.
I guess he's an acquired taste.
He must be. But that being said, unless Dustin went and picked up a goalie in the waiver draft today, which I did not check, he is also skirting the rules about having 3 goalies. So,
Dustin was oddly quiet at the waiver draft.
Cool. Dustin, on notice, my friend. Get yourself a goalie. You're breaking the rules. He has an incredible defense. That's going to be Dustin's big calling card this season, unless he trades everybody to Sam again. I don't know. Shea Weber, Jeff Petrie, Jacob Slavin, Danny DeKaiser, Travis Hamonic, John Klingberg is his 6th freaking defenseman. I mean, that's remarkable. 5th best defense in the whole damn league. Some solid forwards there. How can you question Malkin, Kuznetsov, Zuccarello, Teravainen, and it just kind of keeps going from there. So always in position to do some damage. Always entertaining. My friend, I give you Skittles because you're just a big old bag of fun. Taste that rainbow.
Taste the rainbow. Wonderful. Okay. Moving on up to number 12.
12 brings us to Norm and the Philadelphia Fire Ants. Norm, you are Rolos because you just keep rolling along. Very impressive. The Fire Ants always in contention, always impressive, always dangerous, and also quite likely the most self-effacing of all GMs. For a guy who comes in 12th in my rankings, he has a very poor opinion of how good his team actually is. There aren't really any weak spots here. The defense, yeah, it's missing top flight talent, but Matthias Ekholm is a number 1 D-man on a lot of teams, and he's got some depth to go with him. Tuukka Rask, very solid, stable presence in the Philadelphia net. He's not going anywhere anytime soon, and pretty solid Carter Hutton backing him up. Pretty sure he lost James Reimer today.
Sure did. Not as early as he maybe thought he was going to, but James Reimer did get picked up. Yeah.
He tried real hard to trade him, and fair enough. He was obviously a good bait. And then at forward, Stammer, Pavs, Koivu, Marchessault. It's a pretty solid list right at the top. Depth falls off pretty quickly for the forwards. There's not a lot of scoring outside the top six. We'll see where he ends up playing Jason Zucker. But after that, oh my God, most of his bottom six forwards are in the 50s, low 60s for scoring. So it's a top heavy team right there. So Norm, respect the role, keep it on going.
Yeah, and keep your fingers crossed, no injuries. Sorry, I love injuries. One of my favorite parts of the league. Okay, number 11.
Rounding out our middle 10.
Rounding out, yes, thank you.
Yeah. We got Sean and the St. Louis Spartans. Always dangerous. God, it's just a steady club. I mean, what are you ever going to say against the Spartans? Cool guy Sean there always seems to put together a good team. Freddie Anderson kills me that he's got him in net. Still got Chara and Subban on the back end.
Didn't we draft Anderson?
Shut up. And we've got Kopitar.
I remember this exactly. I had Anderson as my next pick, and you took him, and then you traded him away. Well, you get what you deserve.
I did trade him away. That trade's starting to feel better the worse Goodbranson gets and the better Carlson performs. So it's coming out. I still gave up a little bit too much for that one in hindsight, but hey, it is what it is. If Carlson ends up like an 83 rated defenseman next season, I'll stop complaining about it. He appears to be on pace to do that. Yeah, God, solid team as always. That's another one, kind of in the same vein as Norm, constantly complaining about the team, always downplaying it, and somehow still always good, always competitive. One of the cagiest GMs when it comes to trades, in my opinion. He fleeces you, takes with the one hand, and it's nothing but smiles and happiness with the other side of the conversation. He'll take your eye teeth and smile at you, won't you?
I'm trying to think of the last trade. I've definitely traded with Sean a few times. It's always been a good experience, but now that I think about it, I don't think I've ever walked away with a trade that I can look back and say that I really won.
Yeah, it just doesn't happen. So gird your loins.
Interesting analysis there, Mr. Schneider.
Do what I can.
Okay. We should probably check, see what's happening in Vancouver. Yep, looks like a typical day in Vancouver. And so that's the end of the middle 10. We'll be right back with the top 10 preseason teams.
But I shot a man in Reno just to watch him